Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is March the 14th, 2023, and today the topic is the weight. Weight. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I hope that you all had a great Monday. Mine was just fine. I did get my hair done. That's why it's all wrapped up. I'm sure y'all gonna see it at some point. But yes, finally got that thing done. So to God be the glory for that. um, Everything worked out. The new place was fine. Um, and yeah. Excited, and we're gonna see what the Lord do. But so far so good with that. Outside of that, nothing too much to report. I mean, dinner last night was like chicken pot pies and rice and veggies. um, and yeah, I mean, oh, I did do an episode of the GSL talk show, so that's something that happened as well. Um, I shout out to my guests and the patients because I took a nap in between me coming back from the salon and when we were scheduled, and NJ had my phone. It just was a whole combination of things, y'all. So by the time I woke up, I was like late for the interview, and my guest was there waiting on me when I logged in. So to God be the glory, man, for patience and understanding and everything like that. Look, the grace and mercy that was bestowed upon me by my guest. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, my husband and I have been communicating about, moves as always, things like that. I mean, I don't know, but I'm at peace, y'all. I'm at peace overall. We're gonna see what the Lord do, and I'm excited to say the least. So I woke up this morning at 3:39, and there was some interesting things that I came across when I looked up the Bible, and the Strong's Concordance centered around 3:39. But for some reason, I was noticing the word "wait" this morning. It came up multiple times in my feed. Um, and I'm talking about WEIGHT. And as I did the prayer meditation, the weight came into my heart and mind, and I'm like, okay, Lord, okay, the weight sounds good. Reminds me of that book that I don't know their names, but y'all know what I'm talking about. I mean, I don't know their names in this moment. Basically, Megan Good and Devon Franklin, I think. Yeah, they came out with a book called The Weight. Back when they were married, but anyway. So I was like, is it a play on words here? At some point I was wondering if it was going to be the weight of the weight, and use both weights basically. I didn't know if that's where the Lord was leading me, but basically, the more I looked into it, just the word weight alone was standing out to me the most. And the verses that I came across when I looked up that particular word, like the weight and then weight and stuff like that, was resonating with me, even though I feel like the conversation deals with both weight, WEIGHT, and weight, WAIT. The first one felt a little bit more weightier in regards to this conversation this morning. So that's what your girl studied. That's the inspiration. And so let's get into it. One of the first verses I felt led to write down this morning was Revelations 14:12. It says, "Here is a call for the endurance of the saints, those who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Jesus." So, y'all, listen, look, I'm on the bullhorn this morning. This is for us, y'all. This is for us. Hey. Can I get your attention, please? That's what that's the vibe. That's the vibe that I feel as I was reading and writing that down this morning. Like, all call, last call. I don't know. Um, so then I was led to write down this verse right here, 2 Peter 3:8. Excuse me, no. My apologies. 2 Peter 3:11 stood out to me. And it says, since all these things are thus to be dissolved, what sort of people ought you to be in lives of holiness and godliness? So as I was writing this down this morning, this reminded me of the sermon that the gentleman preached on Sunday. And um, he shared this really, I guess, dynamic in visual. Basically, he showed this big boulder, right? And he talked about, like, because he was talking about marriage and love and everything like that. But he definitely went a totally different direction with the message, to more so focus on us becoming the bride of Christ. But that's a whole nother subject. Anyway, let me just share with you guys what came into my heart and mind this morning. That image of the big boulder, and he was saying that, like, we take these other things and the issues of life that we hold on to, that we work so hard for, and all those different things. And he showed us a visual of what that would look like to be cast into the sea. It would make a big, huge impact, right? But then ultimately, the sea would go back calm. He showed, like, those three images. He showed the image of a huge boulder. Then he showed the image of water just flowing in the air by the boulder being cast into it. And then he showed the sea calm. Those three images on Sunday. And that was brought into my heart and mind this morning as I was reading that second verse. That says here again, since all these things are thus to be dissolved. Like, I guess that part stood out to me the most this morning. That any of our issues of life are going to be nothing at the end of the day. Like, this came to me years ago, and this is why I'm sitting here today talking about the things that I'm talking about, and doing the different things that I'm doing, because the Lord showed me all those years ago that at the end of the day, nothing's going to matter but what you do for me. That's what I felt in my heart and mind during the cultivation period, during my journey. And don't get me wrong, y'all, I know it's so interesting. Like, this whole thing has become just, I don't know if you would say a movement at this point, but this idea of the cultivation period, being a book, and hopefully more things will be coming from that season of my life. But I'm not saying that I'm done growing. Like, I am still growing, right? I'm still cultivating in so many different ways, right? That was just my single journey, right? That was just me as a single woman learning and growing. I mean, I'm still learning and growing as a married woman, still learning and growing as a woman, as a woman in general, still learning and growing as a mother, so it's an ongoing process, right? There's never a period, right, until the Lord calls me home. But even after that, it tells us that, there's eternity to think about. So I guess with all of those things on, our hearts and minds this morning, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, I don't know what that means to you, y'all. Like, when y'all hear that is what this verse is saying. Since all of these things are thus to be dissolved, all our issues, this world as we know it, is nothing. Like, can we gather? Like, I don't know what that. It might not feel good to think that, to be honest. Like, it might feel like, what do you mean? You know what I'm saying? You mean all of my hard work, my home, my money, my everything I've accrued in life. But I mean, like they say, you can't take it with you, right? And so yeah, I mean, when you do think about it, like, and don't get me wrong, like, of course, you want to leave something better for the next generation, right? You want to, whatever, the legacy that was left for us, we want to do better for that next group, and then that next group do better for the group after it. I totally understand. So we think all the time about building wealth and all these different things, breaking generational curses, however you want to look at it. Like, so many different things that we look at and that we try to do. But I guess I'm here to say today that at the end of the day, if we leave God out of the scenario, none of those things are going to matter. They aren't worth much based on what I'm studying here, And so if you really truly, I guess, think on that, then, I mean, I guess the next thing is that next part of that verse, what sort of people are we to be? Believers, who should we be? So, I mean, if I go back to that first verse, it's telling me that the Lord is calling us to endure, right? It's calling us to wait. W-A-I-T. I felt like I have to be specific about which one I'm talking about this morning, since I'm toggling between the two. But yeah, waiting on the Lord and everything like that. Now, speaking of wait, W-E-I-G-H-T. For some reason, I do feel like we as humans go through life and feel like these things that the Lord is asking us to do is just too heavy. Like, it's like we don't want to do it, or it's just too much. It feels like too much. The 10 commandments is too much to ask. Even the 2 commandments sometimes feels too much for us to carry. At least that's the way the world presents this idea. And I guess when I was reflecting on that this morning, I just was like, everything is the opposite, because the Bible tells us that his yoke is easy, right? His weight that he puts on us and to lead us and guide us in his way is easy compared to holding on to the weight of sin, right? Holding on to the weight of any other thing. And I think most people, when they go through that, and then when if they're able to come back to Christ, they see the difference between the two. But unfortunately, some of us get lost in that, where we're not able to come back to Christ, and all we know is that weight that we dealt with alone. And then we never see the hope, faith, joy, love, peace, and all the things that come with the weight that Christ gives. So the weight, y'all. That's the conversation today. So let's keep going. So I pretty much went deeper into 2 Peter 3. And y'all can read that in its entirety, because obviously it's good, and everything like that. But here are some verses that were standing out to me in that section. 2 Peter 3:8, it says, "But beloved, do not be ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day." So, I mean, I guess there's a lot there. I mean, I don't know. Can our minds process that concept, that idea that one day that we experience is like 1,000 years to the Lord, and vice versa? So yeah, I mean, I guess I was thinking about this concept of the earth being millions and billions of years old, and people toggle between the two. Is that the word of the day? Toggle. Yeah, people toggle between the two in regards to the idea of, is it millions of years or is it thousands of years? According to the Bible, it's thousands of years, but then according to what people feel like they find on earth or whatever, it represents millions of years. But maybe it's both, right? According to this, because to the Lord, one day is as 1,000 years. So there's been plenty of one days, that we know of. And so perhaps it is like 1,000,000 or so years, just based on that, because of God being outside of time, and time being, I guess, a concept that we made to try to measure things, or to measure this whole thing. But I don't know. That's something deep to think about. I got, people that are on your own spiritual meat. I think y'all can handle that. If you're still on spiritual milk, then maybe not. Maybe it's too deep to think about right now. But it stood out to me this morning to share or to put in this juice this morning, because I guess again when we're thinking about waiting, WAIT, then yeah, I mean I guess it behooves us to understand what this looks like in some ways. And then if you do go ahead and go into the Go Deeper section and read that section, you're going to see more information there about like why it feels like it's taking so long, right? Yes, we know, I know we've heard all our life, oh, the Lord is coming back, the Lord is coming soon, X, Y, and Z, and people make light of that and they make fun of that. And then when things all around us going crazy, like even, I mean, I don't care what nobody say. And I know that I'm only been on earth about 36 years myself. You see what I'm saying? So I can't sit here and be like, oh, but out of what I've observed thus far in my life, I truly feel like what's happening in this season is totally different than anything I've ever seen in my 30-some years. Anything I've ever been taught about. I mean, I know that, people say that things have been crazy all the time and stuff, but there's just certain battles that are being fought right now that just weren't a question back in the day. Like there's certain things where it's like, it's just on a whole nother level. And so, I mean, even if God don't come back in this very moment, right? I would say we probably in the birth pains, and that's just me making an observation. Y'all can, take that or leave it. I don't know, if you guys are seeing and feeling the same thing, but I feel like there are a lot of people that are seeing and feeling that same sentiment, that there's something going on right now, even if it's not tribulation period or any of that, maybe we're not there yet, who knows, but we almost getting there though. If we're not. So that's just my humble opinion, but y'all, let's keep getting into the Bible and see what that got to say. 2 Peter 3:13 stood out to me as well. And it says, nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for new heavens and new earth, wherever dwelleth righteousness. Where dwelleth righteousness. So I guess this is what we are called to do as believers, right? Not to be bogged down by the cares of this world and everything like that, but more so to look for the new heaven and new earth. And make sure we're ready as the bride of Christ, like the minister was telling us on Sunday. And I guess what we should learn with every day, be also ready, as my mom would always say, y'all. Yeah. I mean, these are the things that stood out to me this morning. I don't know. Is this heavy? Is this weight heavy today? These things that I'm saying, I don't know. But I got a couple more verses for you. Just a couple. Hebrews 12:1. It says, therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. I think this is another thing that crossed my mind this morning as I was toggling between weight and weight. That sometimes when we're in the midst of waiting, like for example, the Lord tells me to wait, right? Miracle wait. Don't make. I think for some reason, I guess it automatically thinks about like not making any moves, just staying right here, and that could be true in some circumstances, right? And I feel like I was talking about this yesterday, being able to discern between when it is that you shouldn't do not anything at all, and when is it that you should wait but also work. And I guess I was once again reminded of this morning that lay aside the weight of sin and endure the race that is set before us. makes me think about to run that race. I don't know. I'm just imagining putting down the weight of sin and then just staying there and not moving. I mean, it's easy to pick that sin back up, but if you lay down that sin and then you run on in the way that the Lord, the path that He's created for us, then this thing, that sin is in your rearview mirror, as they say. I don't know where that description just came from, y'all, but hey, it's God be the glory. I hope that helps and blesses you, whoever you are listening to the sound of my voice. 2 Corinthians 4:17, it says, "For this light momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison." Listen, this is another example of this life being fleeting, right? It tells us in the word that, our life is like a vapor and all these different things. And even this momentary affliction is preparing us for the eternal weight of glory. And again, the word says that His weight, or I would say the actual word was yoke, but it made me think of the word, weight, as I was thinking about the yoke, is easy. And so this here says an eternal weight of glory. And again, when you compare that to the weight of sin, the weight of depression, the weight of all the things that come with living in sin, I think I would go for the glory for me. No, I mean, but anybody can, make their own decisions, use your free will and everything like that. But I mean, ultimately, that is the juice this morning. This is the conversation about the weight. And I hope that it encourages you and inspire you to wait on the Lord. And that don't mean just stay there. That don't mean just don't do nothing. But go on the path that He has made for you. And yeah, that's the juice. That is the juice this morning. Now, the Bible verse of today is Deuteronomy 6:5. It says, "And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul and with all thy might." Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. And there you go. Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, anybody listening to the sound of my voice, I hope that you all are encouraged and inspired. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a God be the glory. Today, I had a meeting, but I think I'm just going to do the meeting virtually. I saw this morning that it said there's a freeze warning in my area. So I'm like, this weather has been very interesting. Like last week at some point, it was hot and warm, and then this week it's cold. And it's just, I don't know, y'all. But anyway, so I'm looking forward to staying in, and staying bundled up or whatever, and knocking out meetings and whatnot. But yeah, that's my general plan for today. There's a song on my heart and mind this morning, and so if y'all want to go and listen to it, if you made it this far in the video, then hey, maybe this is for you. Maybe this will give you some nice worship this morning. I ended up singing it a little bit before I went live. It's called "Glory, Honor, and Power" by Influence Music. I know the church sings it every now and then, and it was on Sunday that they, we was worshiping to that song and whatnot. And I don't know, it was on my heart and mind this morning as I was, doing a prayer meditation, and then even when I was getting ready to record and stuff. So by all means, friends, if you guys want to just, worship or whatnot, go ahead. Feel free, check out that song. It was really good. And I hope y'all have a wonderful Tuesday. Talk to y'all tomorrow, Lord's will. Bye-bye.